John sat at his office desk, staring blankly at his computer screen. The low hum of the air conditioner filled the silent room, interrupted only by the occasional sound of typing from his colleagues. It was just another ordinary day, another predictable moment in his carefully structured life. He had a good job, a loving wife, and a comfortable home. By all measures, he should have been happy. But he wasn't. Lately, John had felt something gnawing at him, a strange restlessness. He couldn't explain it, not even to himself. Everything in his life was in perfect order, his routines, his responsibilities, his marriage to Emma. But despite all that, a dull emptiness lingered inside him. That night, as he lay on the couch, mindlessly scrolling through his phone, a notification popped up. His breath hitched the moment he saw the name on the screen. "Hey, John. It's been a long time. I miss you. Laura." His pulse quickened. Laura. It had been 10 years. 10 whole years since they last spoke. She was his first love, the one who had once made him feel alive in a way no one else ever had. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He knew responding would be dangerous, but the temptation was too strong. "Hi, Laura. I didn't expect to hear from you." Almost instantly, her reply came. "I was thinking about you today. Do you remember our nights by the lake?" John exhaled, a small smile playing on his lips. Of course, he remembered. The warm summer nights, the soft glow of the moon on the water, the sound of her laughter mixing with the rustling of the trees. They had been young, wild, and full of dreams. He had loved her with everything he had back then. They had planned a future together, talked about moving to a different city, getting a small house, traveling the world. But life had pulled them apart. College, jobs, circumstances. And now, here she was, back in his life with a single message. Laura suggested meeting for coffee. "Just to catch up," she wrote. John hesitated. Was it really harmless? Could two old lovers simply meet as friends without reopening old wounds? His heart battled his logic. He had a wife at home. Emma, the woman who had stood by him through everything, who loved him unconditionally. But curiosity whispered in his ear. The thrill of the unknown was intoxicating. Before he could talk himself out of it, he typed. "Okay. Just coffee." The cafe was quiet, tucked away in a corner of the city where the noise of traffic barely reached. John arrived early, his hands slightly clammy, his mind racing with doubt. Then he saw her. Laura was sitting by the window, her long dark hair falling over her shoulders as she stirred her coffee absent-mindedly. When their eyes met, she smiled. And just like that, he was transported back in time. "John," she said softly, standing up. Her voice was exactly as he remembered, smooth, warm, familiar. He hugged her, the scent of her perfume wrapping around him like a ghost from the past. They sat down and started talking, and suddenly, 10 years didn't feel like 10 years anymore. The conversation flowed effortlessly. They laughed at old memories, reminisced about their younger days. Every story pulled them closer, every glance reignited something that had never truly faded. By the time they realized how much time had passed, the sun had started to set. "I've missed you," Laura admitted, her fingers lightly brushing against his. John didn't pull away. Days passed, and John found himself thinking about Laura more than he should. The texts between them became more frequent. The messages grew longer. And then, the secret meetings started. At first, it was innocent, walks in the park, coffee dates. But soon, stolen glances turned into stolen touches. A brush of the hand, a lingering gaze, a moment too long in each other's presence. The first time they kissed, it was in her car. It was supposed to be goodbye, but instead, it turned into something neither of them could stop. That night, when John got home, Emma was waiting for him. "You seem distracted lately," she said, watching him closely. "Work is stressful," he lied, unable to meet her eyes. Guilt settled like a heavy stone in his stomach, but the excitement of his affair with Laura outweighed the shame. He knew he was on dangerous ground, but he couldn't pull himself away. He felt alive with her. Like the old John. Laura wanted more. "I don't want to be your secret, John," she told him one night. "I need you to make a choice." His heart pounded. He was in love with two women. But was it love, or just nostalgia? One night, they met at a hotel. The final line was crossed. As John left the room, his phone rang. It was Emma. His stomach twisted. "I know everything," she said, her voice calm but cold. John felt his world tilt. When he got home, Emma was waiting. She was standing in the middle of the living room, his phone in her hand. Her face was pale, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Who is she?" she asked quietly. John couldn't speak. His throat felt dry. She already knew. There was no point in lying. A message from Laura flashed on his phone screen. "Come to me, John." He stared at it for a long time. He had chased a ghost, lost himself in the past, risked everything for a fantasy. He looked at Emma, his wife, the woman who had given him everything. His voice was barely a whisper. "I'm sorry. I was a fool." Would she forgive him? Could he fix what he had broken? Or was it too late? What would you do in John's place? Love or loyalty? Let me know in the comments.